What's up, ladies and guys? All right, well, I think I have all the parts. I'm not sure for this transmission. It's a 40 M2 PRM Newage Gearbox, 3-speed forward, 1-speed reverse. I think I have all the parts to start reassembling it. It's been a couple days since I took it apart. I've had a lot of stuff going on, so I haven't really had time to concentrate on it. But the other day I did take the cast housing out, which is right there, and I pressure washed it. Tried to get as much of the particulate out of there as possible, all those little metal shavings. And what I'm actually going to do, if you remember, I said I made that video more for me to put this back together than for you guys. I'm actually going to be resorting back to my video in reverse order. I'm just going to reverse my video bit. You can't reverse it, but I am going to go section by section in reverse. And the last step, I'm just going to do first. The second to last step, I'll do second. It's a little bit more time consuming that way because I don't have a video to do it. I do have the directions, but they're very vague written directions, and there are no pictures or no, they're just saying the names of the parts. And if you don't know the names of these parts, you're not gonna be able to follow along. So that's the whole point of me doing this video, is I'm hoping if everything goes right, this reassembly video might help you reassemble one. If not, let's just hope I can get it reassembled so I don't have a 4,000-pound piece of scrap iron sitting out back. But I not that many parts. I'll show you what we have for parts, and we'll go from there. So here is the actual PDF breakdown of the parts. So if I do get confused, that's how many parts I have sitting on my table. Here is the housing. Still gotta clean off the outside gasket areas with a razor blade, clean it all up. But I did wash it all off nice inside. So that's all good. It is ready to be assembled once the gasket areas are cleaned. I have my tablet sitting right there. And I have the new bearing set right here. And in here is a gasket set. So I have a bearing set and a gasket set that I ordered. Here's that needle bearing that they thought where the parts were from. So I have to figure out how to get the old one out. That needle bearing is inside there. So I might be able to get that. I don't know if I'm good. We'll see. But anyways, so here's all the parts. And it was basically from here, and then it went this direction and this direction here. So kind of sort of have it in order. I do have my videos that, like I said, that's why I did my videos. These were all the tools that I did use for it, sitting on the table. So I'm just going to set you up. I'm going to review my video. I'm going to clean this off, and then we'll get started, we hope. So when you put this gear in, the concave part obviously goes there, so it's flush. Got to make sure you don't lose that little keyway that's in there. The keyway slot is on the bottom, with this being horizontal, with the flat plate being horizontal. I put new oil on it. The castle nut is so the cotter pin doesn't come out. or the bolt doesn't turn. That's where the bolt goes through, or the cotter pin goes through the castle nut. And if you remember, this was only hand tight. Make sure it's sucked in there. Just put a little bit of pressure on it, and I'm just gonna back it all the way off. Like that. And then I should just back it off to that first crown right there. And that's what it was about. It's one. Old bearing. And the new bearing comes with that C-clip on it. I think that's the stopper. Or I know that's actually the stopper, so you know how far it's got to go in. And there are a few torque specs in here. And it says coat all threads and on set screws, studs, bolts, etc. with thread lock. And I do have thread lock. So this gear in here is called the reverse pinion gear, right there. And this is the reverse pinion shaft, future note. So that's what we just put in. So going through this, I'm going through the instructions that I have. At the end, I'll see if I can screenshot the instructions for you if I remember to do that. But this is called the lay shaft. This is the bottom. That's a reverse idler. This is the lay shaft. There is another needle bearing that I don't have in here. So I'm wondering if that's the bearing that's bad. Because I'm going through it line by line. This is number 8. Spacer. Then number 5. Reverse gear. Right there. With the short end in. Number 4. Gear 2 speed. Like that. Number 5 is a reverse gear here, but this has to come off this side, I guess. So I got to pull this clip ring off and inspect the bearing that's in here. This clip is number 88. Oh, wait a minute here. No. I think number 2, bearing, needle, roller. Oh, I don't have the parts for this. There's supposed to be a needle bearing on the outside here that actually sits inside this. And it's completely gone. My kids don't even open the garage. Perfect timing. So it looks like the bearing that I don't have sits on that. And that would make sense. Maybe? Yeah, that's definitely a bearing. All right, let me show you. Unless I'm gonna email the manufacturer, but inside here, which I was thinking was just like a freeze plug, but it's not because it has part numbers on it. That's actually a needle bearing, and that is what disintegrated. And if you look on the drawing here, it's number 2. And I don't have that needle bearing. Number 2, if you come here, bearing, needle. So that explains it. So I got to special order this bearing. All right, well, guess what that means? That means unless I can find that bearing locally, there are numbers on it, so I am gonna try. Unless I can find that locally, I am at a standstill. So fingers crossed. I'll get back with you. This video is the longest in the making video I have had yet. So I'm going to now continue attempting to put back this gearbox transmission for my Benford buggy. It's a M2. It's been so long I even forgot what model it is. It's like a 4M2, or I don't even remember. That's how long it's been since I started this thing. It's a 40M gearbox made by Newage, and I could not find out what was wrong with it, and I figured it out. And it has taken this long for me to get the parts. I start putting it back together, or I took it apart and I found out that I needed some parts. I ordered the parts. It took like a month for me to get those in. Then I started putting it back together when I finally got the parts, and found out I was missing another part. And then that took forever to get. And I finally found out what needle bearing was bad. I ended up having to buy 3 of them. It was an absolute nightmare trying to find. I finally found one. Everything was in China. Most of them were in China, and I was not ordering something from China. I ordered one, got a hold of a company, paid an order for one off eBay. A week and a half later, they messaged me. When I messaged them saying, hey, where's my bearing? They messaged me back saying, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to refund your account because we can't find that bearing. It's out of stock. So then it took me another 3, 4, 5 days to find another company that had the bearing in stock out in California. I called them. I had them verify the bearing was in stock. They said it was in stock. I thought I was dealing directly with the warehouse who had the bearing in stock. You can see all the parts have been taking up whole bay 1 already this whole time. And 4 or 5 days now, I paid for it over the phone, paid for it, got it guaranteed. It was going to be there within 3 to 4 days. Next thing I know, they call me or they email me and say, oh, I'm sorry, we changed the way we're doing it. You have to buy a minimum of 3. I'm like, I don't need 3, I just need 1. And they're like, well, it's a minimum of 3. I said, well, you know what? They had free shipping also, and it was only like $25 for one. So I'm like, you know what? If they were charging me shipping and it would cost me $50, $60. I need the bearing anyways. I said, send me 3. Just send me 3 as soon as possible. They finally send me the 3. It takes another 2 weeks for me to get the 3 of them when I only need 1. Great. And then I start getting ready to put this thing back together. I put the 1 bearing in, or the 1 gear in, and so. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. I don't even have the right tools, and I never bought new clips because I bent the. Darn it, I forgot even what they're called. Here they are. I bent the snap rings. So I ended up saying, well, you know what? I want to put the right ones or new ones in. So I went to Harbor Freight and in my spare time, because I have plenty of spare time, and I ended up buying internal snap rings and external snap rings, and I also bought a new snap ring tool remover installer. And then there are external snap rings right here. You can see the way they're shaped. And then I bought a package of internal snap rings. You can see the way they're shaped. I'm hoping I have the right size in there. I'm going to attempt to start putting this thing back together now because this has been going on forever. And on top of that, all at the same time. So this video up to this point has taken over a month, at least a month. I'd say a month and a half. In the same time, I've had a family tragedy that I was dealing with. So this was last priority. So that's all behind us now, and so now I can concentrate on trying to get this machine back together. So I guess things happen for a reason. It allowed me to concentrate on the family emergency when I was waiting for the parts and stuff like that. So anyways, enough of that. Let's try to get this thing back together. I'm going to show you the table over there with all the parts that have been sitting there for over a month, and I have my last puppy pee pad, my last clean one, new one that I put out here because I'm going to try to keep this thing as clean as possible and go from there. All right, fingers crossed we get this thing together in this video. I'm sorry it's been so long. I'm sorry I'm ranting, but this has been a lot. This is the longest video. I hope I can find all the little clips to make it into one video so you can actually see what I've done on it. All right, let me show you what we have, and then I'll get started. To start with, here is that parts breakdown right there. And I do believe it's this bearing is the one I was waiting for. I'll show you. But here's the parts breakdown. You can see it's all greasy because it's been sitting out on the table. I actually was able to pick up my garage in the meantime, but here's all the parts. Here is the housing, all the other parts underneath. And here are some of the new bearings. I got to go and get the other bearing, the special bearing that I ordered. I have that elsewhere, but I'm going to go get that. I even had to buy new plugs right there. So this has definitely been a learning lesson and it's going to be an experiment if I can get this thing up and running, get this thing back together. And this is what right here. This is a cap. I thought that was just a press cap. It's not. That's the actual bearing that I had to order. And because there is none left. If you notice, I don't know if you can see, but it is completely blown out, worn out, and destroyed. That's supposed to be a needle bearing. Sort of like this. But instead of an open end, it's a sealed end. So let me go get that. I'm going to put you over here in the tripod, and I'll start getting all the parts out. That's our point of failure right there. These are the 3 bearings. I had to buy 3 to get one. Anybody needs one? Anybody's rebuilding one of these? Let me know. It is, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read it. The brand is IKO, part number T as in Tom, L as in Lima, A as in Alpha, M as in Mary, the number 2512. And if you notice, it's a needle bearing cap. See, because it has a cap on it, and it goes right there. So I got to get this one out and then put this one in. And like I said, I have extras now. Hope I never need them. There is one needle bearing that I don't think I'm going to be able to replace on this unit. I can't figure out how to get it out, but we're going to, without ruining it. I have a new one for it, but I'll show you when I get to that point. That might be a stopping point for me today until I figure out how to get it out. But I at least want to try to get some of this back together, whatever I can. And like I said, the reason I'm recording this is so I can figure out how to put it back together. So I actually have my YouTube video of me taking it apart on my tablet so I can watch how to replace, how to fix, put it back together. I'm gonna watch it in reverse. All right, I gotta get something to go through here to knock this rest of this bearing out to there. And that's too big. All right, let me find something to get all the way through. There you go. Nothing left to it. That's what it's supposed to look like, and that's what it looks like now. So that was a failure. Finally found it. Make sure there's nothing in there. Nice and clean. Good thing I have 3 of these because I'll probably mess this one up putting it in. Making it pretty much flush. This one was flush with the outside of this, so that's what I'm trying to get. Point of failure right there. So in the other video, we put this gear in the other port when I tried starting before, when I realized this was a failure. And the way I realized it was I actually started just going down the parts list and I noticed it on here and I didn't have it. All right, so now I got to figure out where I was. Yeah, that's part number 2 on the schematic, I do believe, needle bearing. So now I got to find, this is second and reverse gear. I do believe that is what I am installing. Give me 1 minute, let me check my video. This is a new bearing and it has a new clip on it. Now this is where this bearing rode. See that? So that is a point of failure. This is all new gear oil. So I'm just going to review these parts on my schematic, on the blueprint. has a spring clip, a large gear, part number 6, part number 5 is a small gear, part number 4 is this gear here, part number 4 is second gear, part number 5, here, let's back up. You got the needle bearing, you got the shaft, let's see, hold on. The needle bearing is the part that failed, that goes there. Part number 3 is this whole shaft, the whole large shaft. Part number 4 is second gear. Yeah, so this is part 3, the thing underneath there, the main shaft. Then you got part number 4, which is second speed. That's this one, that's second gear. Part number 5, reverse gear. Here, this is gear number 6, which is first speed, which makes sense. Then you have part number 88, it says, and that's just going to be a pin. 88 is a circular clip right there. You got 2 number 5s. Okay, so this one and this one are the same. These are 2 reverse gears. According to this, they're part number 5 and 5. And then it's number 8, which is a washer, or let's see, what's it, proper name? Spacer. Part number 9 is a bearing, which is the new one here. And 10 is a circle clip. So what I'm going to attempt to do, now don't forget, this goes in the failed bearing that we just replaced here. So I'm going to take this, slide it in this way, and then try to slide it into that needle bearing. You're not going to be able to see much. It's more important that I see than you see. Sorry, but that's the truth. I'm going to put a little oil on there. And take that off. Take that off. See if I can get this in there like that. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. This one I can't. This one fits. Okay, so I got to put it together like this, with all this on, just the second gear, reverse gear, and spacer off. Let's see if I can get it in that way. Yep, slid right into the bearing. Now this can fit through this hole. And then the spacer. And then the bearing. I'm just throwing a little bit in here while I can. So if you remember that grinding noise, that's because it's not lined up. When I put this on, it should make that noise go away. We hope. So let's try to get this on there. I am going to stand this up on this end, like that. Make sure that's seated all the way into that needle bearing, and it is. Now this goes on like that. Let me see if I have something that I can hit this with. You know what? I could do that. This is the old one. Nice and easy. I'm trying to get oil on here where it's gonna get pressed in. No noise, hear it? It's working. I'm just doing a bunch of baby taps. It's been a month. I'm not in a rush. Go a little bit farther. I'm using this clip as my guide. To get that bearing in. There we go. And one thing I don't want to do is hit the rod, because if I hit the rod, I'm going to blow out that bearing. But listen to that. There is no noise. Listen to that. That sounds nice. That sounds like it's supposed to. These gears are meshing nicely. All right, so now there's a clip that goes on here, and I gotta go find it. And I'm gonna try to find a new one if I have a new one for it. So this will be an external clip, spring clip, which is right here. Okay. And then this one is a 13/16 we're going to try to use. Got my new pliers. Sure does make it easy when you have the right tools. And there it is, right there. That's done. I'm gonna get rid of this so I don't mix it up and the broken or the worn out gear. I'll be right back. I gotta all my videos aren't downloaded on there. I gotta download more. So this is the main shaft, I do believe it's called. That was a lay shaft, the one we just installed. This one is the main shaft. Don't go through this end, so they got to slide off basically. So what I'm doing is I'm hitting this shaft back. All right, we're gonna try taking this apart. And then that gives me more room. That one. Before this binds to get this out. I think that one. Working. So this is what I'm trying to get out right now. That one. This is the old one. Here's a new one. All right, so that will go like that. This has to be hit in. But on this side here, that bearing is on the other shaft. And that is the one that has the needle bearing on it that I don't know if I'm going to be able to replace. I'm trying to make sure I don't have to take these apart because I can't get these out without ruining them. So I may take all this out, hit this bearing in because I know this bearing goes there. So it's this. I'm dropping things. This, spacer. So I should be able to tap this one in like I did the old one. And I bought these bearings as a kit for this, but the name on this one is NTN November Tom November 6306N as in November. And it's a YL, I do believe, I don't know if that's the brand or whatever, but it's YL, made in Taiwan. All right, here we go. Let me show you before I put this all together. Let me show you the other bearing that goes on here. Okay, this is what's called the output shaft, I do believe. And if you look in there, this needle bearing is in there. I don't know how to get that out. I don't think I'm going to be able to safely get that out without destroying it, or destroying it and then not being able to get it out. So I think I'm going to leave it. I don't see any benefit in trying to get that out besides taking a chance on ruining something. I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to have to. I think I'm going to have to leave it. And then this one goes here. And I'm just going to bang this on the table here to knock this bearing down, and then we'll slide that back on. But this, once this is in like this with all the gears in it, goes like that. All inside there. So let's try to get some of this together. If you notice, I'm not one for instructions. Written instructions I don't like doing. Very important that this has a bump on it and it's flush on this side. I have it, the bump here, the spacer is up against the bearing. That's how it was when I took it off, I do believe, because I've been trying to keep everything as accurate as possible. Once I replace this bearing, we'll see. All right, let me watch my video. And if you remember, I made note that this was nice and tight right up against this bearing or this gear. This bearing was tight. So don't do it as I do it. I have to make do with what I have. So this is how I'm doing it. I'm just adding some into that needle bearing in there because I really can't get it out. All right. Old bearing, old bearing. Here we go. Everything's going in. I don't don't need this anymore. Not gonna need this yet. All right, so before I put this in, it looks like I gotta do the selectors, the gear selector. The selector forks. And those numbers. One spring, two wires, two selectors. I'm not sure. Okay, well, we're gonna try it. Looks like the long one goes in the bottom. You see these shiny spots here? The bottom gear has that also. That's where these actually ride, and that's what actually shifts your gear. So this one goes down bottom. I'm gonna put a little new oil on everything because there's none on anything down here. Now, I got to pay attention to the way these are, because I think these ball bearings ride in those. So, oh, okay. There's a spring in this section, just like this. So this spring must go in this one. It does. Okay, now it makes sense. This spring goes in there. So let's put a little oil in there. All right, I'm figuring it out. So that spring goes in the hole and it goes in this pocket. This one already has a spring in it. So I'm gonna put this on that gear down there. I hope you can see that. And then a ball bearing somehow has to go on top of that spring in here and get collapsed in one of these grooves on this bottom rail. Whew. That's gonna be difficult. Here we go. Let's see. Do it without the ball bearing first. Let's see. Put that in. Get it in there. Now, tip it like this. And then if that ball bearing is there, that should face down. Okay, I got it. Okay, so I'm gonna lay it back to me so I can see. But when I lay it down, I have a clear shot to drop that ball bearing in there. And then I'm gonna take like a small screwdriver. I'm gonna push that ball bearing down and I'm gonna push this rod in. I'm gonna make sure these grooves are facing down on the ball, on this rod, because this is the rod that I'm doing now. Now, if you look on the rods, you see that groove here? See that groove? Remember this plate here went here, so those two grooves got to be facing each other, which would mean they're opposite. It's going to go like that, and then that groove is facing down. I hope that makes sense. Well, it makes sense to me. So pull this out. I'm gonna get this one started. Oop, pushed it in a little too far. Let me get a little screwdriver. All right, I'm gonna lay this back to me so I can see. I got a straight shot down looking right in there. Put the ball in there. And now I gotta turn this rod so the 3 prongs are facing down. Yep. I don't know how I'm gonna show you this without ruining. All right, look. See how I have this down? And I dropped the ball. I hope you can see in here. This groove is facing up, which will allow these 3 grooves to face down over the ball. So let's see if I can do this facing you. Like that. Oh, no, I pushed the ball out. See, that's, I didn't push the ball down. Don't drop the ball in there. Come on. Oh, I need a magnet. My screwdriver is magnetized. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to take this. I'm going to push that ball down somehow. Oh, push this up. You almost need another hand. Oh, almost had it. This is too flimsy. What I'm doing is I'm going in there and I'm pushing down on the ball to hopefully push that rod over the ball. There we go. There we go. Nice. So let's push this through. And there it is. See the groove? And it's lined up right with this screw right here. So now the next one, whew, although I think I have to do this plate next. Let me check. So it's up like that. It's gonna go in there. There's a little bit of wear on one side of the plate. I gotta get new cotter pins. That's gonna be on the drive shaft side, this side, for my future reference. I gotta get 2 new cotter pins. All right, let me get cotter pins. I'll be right back. Pins are on the back side. Like that. Why can't I get it in there? Oh, did one of the clevises turn? It did. Yep. All right. I got the clevis pins out. That's the counter pin. And the counter pin on the lower side. Turn this way. Counter pin. Or a clevis pin. Clevis pin. And this plate is up like that. There's a little bit of air on one side of the plate, on this side, this side. That's going to be on the drive shaft side, this side. So you don't knock your rotors. Okay, this is the second one. So it's like that. Okay, like that. A little longer than that. I can't see. Oh, I got the right glasses on, but I still can't see. Come on. There we go. All right, now I got to get needle nose pliers and put these cotter pins in. All right, now this one. How's this gonna work? Oh no, did I do that wrong? Put it neutral. Oh, I lost the spring. Oh, I just dropped the spring in there, guys. The spring fell out. Haha. So how's this gonna work? And this has to go like that. Has to go like that. That has to go like that. So how are you supposed to get that in there. Wow. Look at it. All right. Spring. Ball bearing. I'm aiming the line to match that one. Close enough. Take this, push that ball bearing down. Oh, nope, 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 don't move. Like a blob of grease. I'm gonna try to hold that bearing, that ball in there with that. So if you notice, I didn't line that one up that good. So now I gotta try to turn this without screwing it up too bad. And there it goes, popped right in. Okay. I think the next step, I'm going from memory. I can't do the book anymore. That just makes it more confusing for me. I think this was an 11. Let me go check. And before I put that in, it had blue Loctite on it. I could see the blue on it. So I'm gonna get some blue Loctite. Says 11 foot-pounds for this one. Eleven foot-pounds with Loctite. I have no clue how this is supposed to work. All I know is I can't shift it anymore. But I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I just want to make sure I'm not going to lose these cotter pins. Okay. Oh, what am I trying to get it in neutral. There's neutral. There we go. Now it's in neutral. Those balls are what hold it in gear. See? So now it spins. Sounds good. All right, well, one thing left. Before I hammer that on, let me go look at my parts on the table, see what I got. I'm gonna get rid of some of this stuff. So after that gets hammered in, I do believe all this housing goes on. Let me check my video and I'll be back. I also got to remember how this goes in. Because this goes somewhere over here. But that's after. Oh, wait. We got to put new plugs in here too. And these are 5/8. I should have put sealant on that. I wish I put sealant on that. I like that. Wow. All right. So this side here is where the bell housing goes. And what I have to do, I have to put a dust shield in the collar that goes here. And then it's these 4 bolts. This hole here is an oil drain. I'll put these away before I drop them. So this hole here is an oil drain that goes back into the gearbox. Or not an oil drain, but an oiler that splashes, I guess, because it drains out the bottom. Because this is how the unit goes here. So that top hole is right here. So let me get the cover for this. Oh, nope. Nope. Hold on. There's something that goes there. That's that end. 58. If you're wondering what these are called Welch plugs, and I use 5/8 inch ones, if you're wondering. Let's see. I am 58, 57, 56, and then the bell housing. So 58 is gasket, 57 is front cover, 56 oil seal, but I got to back up here. So 55, because that's that shaft, that's the bearing. 53 is the bearing, 54 is that C-clip, 55 looks like a spacer. Yep, 55 is a spacer, and number 7 is a C-clip. So I need to get 55, the spacer, and the C-clip. So this came off the bearing. That's this one. So it's going to be 55, which is a spacer, right here. And then the C-clip. And I don't think I ruined this one. I don't think I have one this big. We'll see. Ooh, I just might. Yep. There. Oh, that's 1 inch. That's cool. All right, now it's 1.25 inches according to my chart over there. Let's see what it looks like. Nah, that's too small. I mean, too big. Definitely don't like that. So we're gonna go down a size. These are all messed up. I'm gonna try getting 1 1/8 on there. There we go. That's not going anywhere. So I use 1 1/8 because the 1.25 inches was just too big. Even though it looked like 1.25 inches would fit it, it had too much play and it wasn't tight. So now, where were we? 57, number 7's a clip. That all goes through the hole. 58 is a gasket. 57 is a housing. 56 is the dust shield, so let's get that. So I haven't washed this stuff. Here's the new dust shield that has to go in here. The 4 bolts, the old gasket. I got a new gasket over there. I'm gonna wash this. Let me bang this out, and then I'll wash this, get this all cleaned up. All right, let me clean this up. I'll be right back. Can't get it on there. I knew it was going too smooth. They sent me the new dust shields for inside here. The old ones have the metal, so they bite and they grip into it. These rubber ones, I get them all the way in and then they pop out. I squished it in with a vise, nice and steady, and it pops right out. They're just like rubber loaded. So I'm gonna have to figure out, there's no part numbers on the metal ones, the original ones that I can see. So I think I'm gonna be pretty much at a standstill again for this, which sucks because I'm so close. Because that goes there, that goes there. The bell housing goes over this. And then I just got the other side. But I think I'm pretty much gonna be at a standstill until I figure this out and the other one. So I'm gonna have to stop here. I'm so close. Everything is together and is spinning super nice and smooth and easy, but I still can't finish because of that. Aggravating, absolutely aggravating. This was a kit I bought online for this gearbox, and it's not gonna work. So I did not replace this because I can't get the old one out without a lot of headache, and I don't have the proper tool for it. And now I got to see about the dust shields, but we are like super close. So I'll get back to you on this. Well, I got that new seal to stay in there. I got it seated. It took me a while fighting with it, but I got it. I don't think I'm going to replace this one. It is not that bad. I'm just going to clean this off and go from there. So this one here, you see that 5th hole right there? There's a hole up on top here. That hole and this hole have to line up. And I do have a gasket, a paper gasket for it. But I am gonna put some silicone right here. I am gonna put some of that around there just to help get it to stay. These bolts, according to the directions for torque, you can find that page. Let's see. The 1/4" UNF set screws, retaining primary shaft oil seal housing and rear cover, 9 foot-pounds, 8 to 9 foot-pounds. All other 1/4" threaded are at 11 pounds, so I'm thinking that would be, these would be 11 pounds. And let's see, the self-locking nuts are at 30 foot-pounds, and the output flange bolt is at 40 foot-pounds. And the output flange bolt is the one that was really hard to get out of here, if you remember, with the torch. and you're supposed to use Loctite on every bolt here. So let me see. One of them, I think the output flange, you're supposed to use red Loctite. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. Yeah, see the rear cover and the other cover, it says use a suitable, coat the gasket surfaces with a suitable jointing compound, lay the gasket on the gear case and slip the spacer over the main shaft. Assemble the rear cover onto the gear casing, lubricating the oil seal with a little grease. Fit the new nylon sealing washers over the 5 set screws and tighten the rear cover in place. I don't have nylon washers, and the nylon washers are basically for oil leakage, so I'm going to end up using the Teflon, or I mean the RTV. Refit the 2 new pads, the top cover. That's the top cover, that's the bell housing. The bell housing is the 3/8 UNF locking nuts, which were whatever that set the torque was that I had said earlier. 30 foot-pounds for the bell housing. All right, well, here we go. Got to make sure you line that top hole up. And that top hole allows oil that gets splashed in to come down and to lubricate that seal. Making sure I didn't fill that hole up. And there's a mark on the top of this also to indicate that. All right, now let's do a little blue thread lock. In the book, it does say any and all bolts to use thread lock on. That's why I'm using it. Normally I don't use it unless it specifically tells you to, and it does so. And I think that was an 11. What did I say these were torqued at? 9. Okay, that's done. One thing I don't have is a new dipstick. Now this side, I haven't cleaned it yet, and I'm debating if I'm going to replace that seal or not. This seal is what the drive shaft slides in on, so it's not a seal to seal this, it's a seal to seal the actual drive shaft that goes on there. Because because this one does not look bad. I know I got to clean it still, but this does not look bad at all. Here's the old gasket here. Here's the old gasket from this casing. All right, let me clean it and then we'll go from there. I'm gonna move this over there so I don't get it dirty. All right, I decided I'm taking that out. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one to hopefully distribute. You know what, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on, oil on there. Just a little. Now that's either going to help it or make it worse. We'll see. This is going a lot easier than the other one. That's enough. What I'm doing is I'm making sure it's seated all the way in here. And it is. All right, well, that was a lot easier than the other one. That's how they're supposed to go in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, they have these little nylon washers. I don't know why, but I'm not going to use them because they are ruined. Hope I'm not forgetting something. So here's a gasket for it. So if this, that's on, that's on. So if this goes like that. All right, so see, I was forgetting this. This is the spacer that goes on, and that. And then that's the seal that this goes on. And then all it gets pushed. I gotta clean all this up. Remember, that's what I had to heat. and then it was the washer, and then it was a tab washer right here. Oh, that's what I gotta do. I gotta get a new bolt wall today. All right, I gotta get a new bolt for here. But then it was this and a tab washer. And if you see, this tab washer is all bent up and melted because I had to heat it to get it off. So I actually have to make a tab washer out of this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace it. Where's all this coming from? So I think I'm gonna wait and do the rest of it after. But I gotta trace this out and cut it, and then that makes a tab washer, because no place locally has those. So that and that gotta get cleaned up. This is ready to go on, but this has to stay on there first. And then what holds all this in is that big bolt that goes in that drive shaft. Goes into this drive shaft. All right, so let's do this one so it can start curing while I'm gone. Let me get some paper towels, clean ones. Now they made this gasket a little bit too small. Well, you know what that means. Silicone it up. Right there. It's my machine. Neatness doesn't count. That's down there. That's a weak. Worst spot to have that happen too. All right, well, let's hope. Messy, messy. Long screw, long screw. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, and let's watch it. These rules all through. So, hi. Take over. Ow, yes. That's right. And fun. There you go. So one thing I gotta put in, and I gotta remember how it goes. I gotta see how it goes. This goes somehow in here, like that. And it's spring loaded. And then there's two washers, and I'm pretty sure this is how it goes. I'm gonna double check the video when I'm done, but I'm pretty sure if I put this like this in the middle, like that. And I have no clue what it does. That is part number 32. Part number 32 is an interlock assembly. That's what that is. And then I got to do the whole shifter thing in here also. I have no clue how it works. I'll figure it out. But that's it for today, for right now. I got a meeting I got to go to. So that'll give this stuff time to cure, and I will go get a new bolt for this, and then I will make my tab washer out of this one. All right, I'm back, guys. So what this is a tab washer that I had to make. If you notice on this one, remind me that's gonna be hot so I don't burn my hands. I bought a new bolt right there. This is the bolt that goes in the crankshaft, whatever you want to call this, main shaft right here. And then this goes over it like that. Spacer. But then there's a tab washer. Once again, remind me. Okay, it's getting there. There we go. Okay. The tab washer melted when I used the cutting torch to heat this bolt up. Somewhere I read, and I can't find it where I read it, but this particular bolt inside here, they tell you to use a red Loctite. So this is a medium strength Loctite. This you could use tools to break free. The red Loctite, you got to use heat to break free. That's why I could not break this off, is because I guess they put this bolt on with the red Loctite at the factory, or whoever took it apart last. And obviously I didn't know that. So what I ended up doing was I made my own tab washer. And what will happen is it goes like in this order. It goes the bolt, the tab washer, the spacer. The spacer goes against the yoke, whatever you want to call this, like this. But now if you notice the tab washer's in the way, it doesn't go in. There is a hole up there. Well, let's take a piece of drive shaft right here. And that's where the tab goes. That is supposed to help prevent this from loosening over time, like a lock washer. So once this is in, that tab goes in that hole like that. See how that is in the hole? I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but see how that tab is in that hole? Well, I couldn't find one, so I had to make one. It's still a little too thick. I gotta get it a little bit thinner, I think. Yeah, see, it won't go all the way up in there. So I gotta hit this on the grinding wheel a little bit more just to make this part a little bit thinner, and then it'll go in there better. But basically, I gotta put silicone on here because this is what I read. I don't remember where I read it, but I read it. You put silicone on the teeth here. You put this on, push it through. With the silicone on there, that prevents the gear oil from coming out on that shaft. And then you take your spacer, put your spacer in, you take your tab washer, find that hole, put it in there. Actually, I don't need to. It fits perfectly, I think. Maybe not. Let's see. Yep, no, it fits. So that's how it's going to be, like that. Just like that. And if you can see, that tab is in that hole. And that just prevents this, helps this from not spinning out the bolt. Done with the hammer. But I do have to put Loctite on it. Now, the debate is, what Loctite do I use? Do I use a red Loctite and hate life if I ever have to take this apart again? Or do I use a blue Loctite and keep my fingers crossed I never have to take this apart again? Or anticipate taking it apart again? I think I'm just going to use a blue. I just really don't want to. Heat and special tools needed for disassembly on that one. This one here is just basically tools. So this is medium strength, and this is like super duper strength. So I think I'm just going to use this one. And the torque spec on that bolt is output flange bolt 40 foot-pounds. And then the cover, yep. The bell housing are 30 foot-pounds. These are roughly 11 foot-pounds for the cover plate with the shifter on it. So 30, 11, 40. So let's do this while we can. And like I said, the seal that we put here will prevent the oil from slipping out here. But in the gears themselves, in here, is what the silicone is going to be used for. Because that's a toothed, or a toothed fitting there. So let's slap some on there. Looks like I had blue fingernail polish on. All right, so that's that. See, that makes a nice seal right there. So that's the spacer. I gotta find that hole. There it is. I'm gonna put it in there like that. And that's at the 6 o'clock. Take the Loctite. Actually, let me get a socket for this too while I have it off. It's a 3/4 inch socket, And this bolt is a 1/2 inch 20. So it's a 1/2 inch bolt, fine thread, 20 threads per inch. Let's add some Loctite on here. Like that. Come here, buddy. You're okay. Come on. Come on, you come up. It's a 3/4 socket. I'm gonna get a 3/8 drive one so I don't have to climb up to get my other bar. What did we say, 40? Come here, buddy. Come on. Come on. You can make it. Want help? Come on here. Who's coming up? There's my boy. All right, so that's 45 right there. Here's my boy. Careful, buddy. I gotta figure out some way to hold this now. Being that I made that washer, I'm gonna tap it. And that's a grade 5 bolt. According to the old one, those 3 lines mean it's a grade 5. That triangle on the bolt is just a manufacturer marker, according to Dr. Google. Let's see. All right, we're good. That's 40. Yep, that's good. And for the dipstick, what I found, I ordered a brass rod, but temporarily what I'm gonna do, it's 165 millimeters. And what I am probably thinking of doing is making my own temporarily, because 165 and the way I got the 165 is there were 3 different size dipsticks, and the dipsticks, oh, I don't have it with me. I have it on the other one. I do believe, yeah, it's on the other one. There were 3 different size dipsticks, and the closest one that fit this with all the pieces was 165 millimeter. So I'm just gonna put a ball of JB Weld up here. You know what? No. I'm not gonna take a chance on putting metal in here. I know how much oil goes in there. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna fill that hole for now. and then we'll order the new one when the new one gets here. I ordered brass rod also. I really don't want to put steel in there, this metal, because I'm just afraid it's going to happen again, especially because I'm modifying it or I'm making it. So, you know, we're not going to use a dipstick. We're just going to use, we're going to keep an eye on it, and we're going to know how many ounces are in, or how many liters or quarts or whatever it is that's in there. Okay, so now the next thing to do is wash the grease off, the oil off of here, and then put the shifter in. Now the shifter is pretty interesting. I found out what this plate is for. That shifter keeps the shifting rod in place in there. And neutral is with this brass piece and this brass piece lined up. The shifter rod goes in here. So what you do is it pivots on this rod, in this gap right here. So it would pivot, and then it would slide this piece over to shift the gear, or over this way, or this bottom one over and over. And when these two are lined up, like right now it's in neutral, so you can see, okay? So let me go get the shift plate. Here's a gasket, and here's a shifter. And if you remember, I had to weld this and grind all this off. And then you see that little half a ball that's on there, hidden by that spring right there. With this in there, it goes in that slot. Let me take this off so I can show you. This goes in that slot like that, and then it twists. And now it's in the shifter. So depending on where you want it to go, obviously. See, because this will be mounted, and this is the pivot point, is right here. But I gotta collapse that spring, so it's not gonna do that. You're not gonna be able to see that well. Anyways, I gotta clean it all up, and then we can put the gasket on. I'm gonna put some sealant on here also, because I don't want any oil leaks, and we'll go from there. These gaskets are a little bit too small. Even the other gaskets were just a little bit too small. I don't understand why. I might have to put that on here first. That's the bell housing. I gotta see which way this shifter was facing. I gotta remember. I think it was facing to the back. No, I think it's to the front. Was it this way? Here's the question. Was it this way with the shifter aiming toward the bell housing, or was it this way going toward the drive shaft? I gotta find that out before I get started, because that's gonna play a big difference. All right, I'll be back. So it goes away from the bell housing. So it goes like this. I'm gonna get all the bolts started, and then I'm gonna take them out and put Loctite on. Just because I gotta compress everything. So in theory, It should be back together. You know, I'm not going to put Loctite on it. I'm going to take a chance now and take it apart again. Let's get yours. That way. That way. Oh, I can do. I'll hold it here. See, because it's in neutral now, but there we go. It's hard to, there we go. Okay, got to kind of push down and over. So that should be first gear. Right there. Down. Come on. Over, down, should be reverse. Yep, there's reverse. Neutral. All right, we're done. Good enough. No sealant on this. I'm gonna put this on just to make sure we don't get garbage in there. Because now we gotta tip it and put a bell housing on. I hope I didn't forget anything. I don't have any extra parts. Okay, here we go. Bell housing. Here's that. What were these, 30? Let me go see what other tools I have that I gotta, or pieces I gotta put on here. You guys, when you guys see, I can't see. All right, so here's the throwout bearing. Luckily it's in good condition. For my record, I'm gonna try to read off a part number in case I ever gotta buy new ones. It says, it might be a 40031C, and it has a maker's mark on it that I cannot make out. It might be a Borg Warner, I don't know. 40031C, throwout bearing. And then it has these fancy dancy little spring clips. And your throwout bearing has a hole in the middle right there. So it's kind of tricky how they go on. But I do have to recenter this also because remember I popped this out to get it, I had to pop that C-clip out to get it where I needed it. So let's do that first and then I'll start putting that in there. I think these are gonna be too big. All right, you guys can't look. I gotta do it myself here. I wanna get this done. Oh, there we go. Hey, the right tool does make it a lot easier. Okay, clipped in place. Got a grease fitting on that side, grease fitting on this side. Throwout bearing. Man, gonna take them off to try to show you how they go. Here's your throwout bearing. So this is what your clutch operates. On the back side of this fork, there's a hole here, and there's a hole back here. This clip, the straight piece, goes through the throwout bearing. This little bump goes in that hole. So it'll basically be like that, okay? I have an arrow on it. I think the arrow was marking the top, so that's what we're gonna use. I'm gonna put the throwout bearing in, line up the center hole with the pin. And try to push it on there. It's a lot easier when I can see and you can't. And here you go. Okay. So this I might just put this on in the machine. If that's like that, I should be able to get this on here. I have that mark. It's a lock washer, a nut, and a bolt. So if I remember correctly, the way I marked this was all the way in, push the throwout bearing all the way up against the bell housing. This seam was lined up with that black marker. This is my way, of course. That actually looks pretty good like that. There should be some way of adjusting it on the machine. All right, there it is. All right, guys. I think this video is going to be long enough. It's together. It's 100% together. I just gotta put it in the machine and add fluid. I think I'm gonna wrap this video up here, and I gotta order a new dipstick. I was gonna make my own dipstick, 168 millimeters long, but I think if this rebuilt went good, I'm just gonna spend $150 and buy the actual dipstick on eBay. I saw them on eBay for sale, just so I make sure I have the right one. And if I'm keeping the machine, it makes sense. It's only $150, another $150 investment. So, all right, so to end this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go print off a new set of parts, a parts breakdown sheet, and I will put all the pages, if I can, and do it quickly, like 3-second page per page, and then that way you can pause it as needed. I'm gonna do it at the very end of the video. And then that way, if you are in the same predicament, I'm not gonna give you the one that's all greasy. Give you a hard time. Give you a hard time trying to see it through all the greasy fingers. But that way, if you are in the same boat as I am and you can't find it, you'll be able to just look at the video. All right, so I'm gonna continue this on the next video, guys. This has been a long process. Yeah, in the next video, we'll put it in and we'll see if it works. It seems to work. It's in neutral right now. It's hard. There we go. So now it's in reverse. I'm spinning this counterclockwise and this is spinning clockwise. Gonna go down. Let's see, hold on. It's hard to do it with the... That should be reverse. That should be second or third gear in this position. Because if you think about it, it's a rear engine unit. So the bell housing faces back. So right now I have it in this back corner. I think that's third gear. That would be second gear. No, that's third. That's second. Neutral. Reverse. First. First is over there, but I gotta turn it. There you go. Because this is not a synchronized transmission. This transmission, you can't shift during movement. Everything's got to be at a complete stop. So you start off in whatever gear you're going to use and you stay in that gear. So if you're starting off in second gear, that's the gear you stay in. Basically, that's how it works. So it's not a synchronized gear transmission. All right, enough of this video. It's a 40M, and on the casting it says 40M101 housing. Check back with me next video. Hopefully we get this thing in and we get that machine running, because I still got to fix the hydraulic valve for the dumper. And I have a lot of work for it around my yard to do. Plus I have another job that I could probably be using it at to move a lot of fill. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Sorry this took so long, but this alone was a month and a half in the making to get all the parts and get the time. Once I took it apart, trying to find all the right parts and trying to find out what's wrong with it. So it turned out it was the bearing, and it wasn't even in the rebuild kit. So I only did not replace that one. This is the only thing I did not replace. And that's just because I could not get to it safely without taking a chance of not being able to get the new one in or the old one out without ruining something. But it was in good condition. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I really hope you enjoy it. Give some feedback, positive, negative, I don't care at this point. Right now, I just want this machine up and running. I do appreciate your time though, guys. Fingers crossed. See you on the next one.